Are you a history lover? Do you really know how Nigeria got where it is today? The only way you're going to know is by following the history, the real history of the country. But before we do that, have you done your civic duty if you live in the United States? Have you voted? I voted today. Make sure you vote.
Oh, Mariama, my darling Mariama, Mariama, me woman, I'll forever be your man.
Now, don't just watch. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the video, and most of all, make some comments about the video.
We started through conversation, then on to the sensation.
Hello, everybody. Once again, this is Fred Gwanko coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And as usual, I like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on where you are around the world. Today is a very simple one, but a very, very deep historic presentation about Nigeria. But before we get into the deep historic presentation about Nigeria, let me do some housekeeping. With regret, I must say that this will be the last video that I'm going to share on the public chat groups. I'm going to start focusing my distribution on individuals and targeting individuals that have some kind of remote interest in the things we talk about. And that's for two reasons. One is so that I don't waste your time. Two is that I gradually start deleting people who are not interested and start adding authentic people who are really interested in what we do and can help us grow. If you receive my videos on your personal inbox, that's all you're gonna get. We have made the strategic decision that we are no longer going to share our video on the chat groups because it seems like the chat groups have things that are more important, and I respect those things. There are too many people who are getting our videos on their personal inbox and not watching them. And believe me, I think that's disrespectful. But then when we go to the chat group, we see that they at least opened it and looked at it. If they didn't look at it in their personal inbox, why is the chat group the place to look at the video? It doesn't make sense. But the reality is that after 2.5 years of doing this, and after some of the support we're getting from across the world, we're starting to notice that the best way to grow is to focus on the people who like what we're doing and then work with them to understand how to help us grow instead of spreading our net so wide and dealing with people who have no interest in helping you grow. It's just a strategic business decision. And I appreciate everybody who has watched that so far. And I wish the ones who were not interested someday will gain interest. If you would like to be receiving our videos and we're not already sending them to you, just send us your phone number and you'll start receiving it through WhatsApp. With that said, today I'm bringing you very historical videos that really tell the story of Nigeria, that really makes you understand that it's not a coincidence that Nigeria takes 3 steps forward, 10 steps backwards. Because the longer we fool around with this contraption called Nigeria, the more you see that the powers who control it have no interest in having that entity equally successful in all parts, the more you understand that it's time for us to go our separate ways, whatever it takes. Listen to this video about our early history.
Up until the 1st of April 1958, as I said before, the Nigerian army was part of the British Army. And I would just like you to consider what the standards were when the British ran the army and what happened after control of the army passed to Nigerians. Now, 1st of April 1958 happens. Nigerians take over. And what happens? Well, prior to that, the educational requirement for potential officers was 4 O-level credits, including English. In September 1959, that was reduced to 4 O-level passes. And the maximum age for enlistment was increased from 22 to 25. In 1961, in May, the educational requirement was further reduced to permit the recruitment of candidates with a teacher's grade 2 or Royal Society of Arts stage 2 certificate. NMTC, the Nigerian Military Training College, which was the forerunner of NDA, was set up, and it started taking candidates in April 1960. In April 1961, it was decreed that henceforth 50% of all cadets must be from the North, and that this would apply both to the initial selection and to the final pass list, whatever the order of merit might have been. In other words, it was now possible for a Northern cadet to make the final pass list above a Southerner who may have been above him in the order of merit, but it was not possible the other way around. That had absolutely nothing to do with the British. That had everything to do with Nigerians. The North being, and I make no apologies for saying this, being far better strategic thinkers than we in the South have ever been, understood from the get-go that whilst they may have the advantages, whether this was real or otherwise, of population and political power, ultimately, the decider was who has their hands on the levers of the coercive forces of the state. Okay? And because they understood that, it was a very concerted attempt and effort on their part to encourage and get and drive their people to join the army. In one class of 1962, the leaving class at Bidia Provincial Secondary School, if I call the names of the people who are all classmates who joined the army on the same day: Ibrahim Babangida, Mamman Vatsa, Abdulsalam Abubakar, Muhammad Sani Sami, Sani Bello, you begin to see where I'm going with this. All of them were all classmates. In 1962 alone, the Minister of State for Defense made 2 visits to that school. Babangida. On the second occasion, he was accompanied by a very smartly dressed young major called Gowon. And it was a deliberate policy to sell the army as a career choice to these people. There was absolutely nothing stopping the rest of Nigeria from taking the same view, but we chose not to do it because we were preoccupied with the idea that we were all going to be doctors and engineers and lawyers and nonsense. It's strategic short-sightedness. When you add that concerted effort to recruit people into the army with a simultaneous lowering of the entry standards, then are you really surprised that the people who were the second lieutenants and lieutenants in July 1966 became the majors and lieutenant colonels of July 1975 became the colonels and brigadiers of December 1983 and the major generals of August 1985. Same people. That is what is called strategic foresight.
And along with that strategic foresight emerged the fact that Babangida went on to become military head of state. Abdulsalam went on to become military head of state. Mamman Vatsa, bless his soul, rose to the epitome of the military and may have become military head of state. Sani Bello was up there. I forgot the fifth person he mentioned. The point is, there's nothing wrong with being strategic thinkers when you think for the general good of the people. But the strategic thinking of the Fulani, 60 plus years after independence, has brought nothing but blood, sweat, and tears to Nigerians. And it's gonna get worse. Now listen to this other one. I even find the next one more interesting.
But the jihad is over. How come the Hausa man is yet to claim that Hausaness again?
It's just now that the efforts we are making in the south have begun to yield fruits. You will be surprised to hear that now in Hausa land, we now have Hausa Christians. Never had that before. Never. You now have Middle Belt Forum that are saying we are not northerners, we are middle belters. We are not northerners. Don't call us northerners. Now when you see a Jukun man or you see a Lantan man and you say you are Hausa or you are Fulani, he will be angry. He may even draw his dagger. Don't call me Fulani. I'm not Fulani. I'm not Hausa. What we did not know until recently is that when you call a Fulani man Hausa, he will be angry. He will say Banzani, because he knows that I'm superior to Hausa. Can you say I'm Hausa? But before now, before Buhari came to establish his suzerainty over Nigeria, we all lumped all of them together. We're northerners. And like I wrote some 4 years ago, there's no north. There's no north that we used to know. The north is dead. There's nothing called north anymore.
So there's a Fulani now standing on his own.
It's standing on its own. There's no more north. If they try any war today, oh God of mercy, the kind of cohesion you had in the army, the military in 1966 will never happen again in this country, if there is a country at all. You will not find a Hausa soldier now, an Igbo soldier going to Enugu to kill a fellow him. You will not even find an Igbo soldier coming to Ibadan to kill a Yoruba man, or a Yoruba soldier going to Enugu to kill an Igbo man. It will not happen again. So the Lantan people, the Benue people will never ever allow themselves to be used by any Fulani mischief maker.
So if I'm getting you right, your argument is that the Fulani hegemony has been broken.
Dead.
If the Fulani hegemony has been broken,
yes,
does it mean that the social structure of Nigeria is about to witness a very hard hit that will lead to a new Nigeria?
Yes, for those who agree with you to the extent of the fact that there are still some people who want a Nigeria, a group that I don't belong to. But for such people, yes, with the weakening of Fulani hegemony, there could be a Nigeria that will integrate the sober Fulanis, the town Fulanis, and still reconstruct, rebuild, and then have a Nigeria that should be. But I, as a person, as Tola Deli, believe that it will take probably 1,000 years to change the mindset of a Fulani person whose philosophy is kill, maim, rape, send away people from their land and let me occupy it.
That is the bush Fulani.
This is the bush Fulani.
Not the town Fulani.
Not the town Fulani.
And the town Fulani is more in number.
No! The town Fulani is less than 1%.
How did you get that figure?
Oh, go and find out. Let them allow. Let them allow. It says, what are the town Fulani? There are very few. The ones who have in Abuja, or the few that dot spaces in Sokoto. I'm sure that you know that Sokoto, as we speak, is not a Fulani. It's not a Fulani town.
Is it not?
No, that's a mistake we make. Zamfara is not a Fulani town. There are more houses in Zamfara than Fulani. There are more houses in Kano than Fulani.
But the Fulani govern.
They are in town. They are in charge.
Yes, so it's their town.
Yes. By subterfuge, by cunning, by crookedness, by all sorts of gimmickry.
Or by integration.
not integration, by intimidation. And I said they are politically savvy. What they did to the rest of Nigeria, when they realized that the Fulani in the military, they could no longer use the military to retain power indefinitely. Since they've had power, they had access to the treasury, they say, oh yes, Edmond is from the east or wherever. Brilliant man, he may likely oppose us and contest with us and rival us. Let's make him an ambassador. Let's give him an oil block. Let's make him a billionaire. We padlock his mouth. Let's get an Abiola. Make him a billionaire. Let's get this. Let's get that. And make them big. They will never be able to look us in the face. Then we can continue looting the treasury. We can continue. And once we are in control of the treasury, we are in control of everywhere. So we can hire thugs. We can do whatever we would like. And that is why they introduced what I call plutocracy into Nigerian political etymology. Plutocracy.
Meaning?
Plutocracy is the government of the rich.
Yeah.
Oligarchy is the government of the muscle men. So the rich man will employ the muscle men and they will be ruling. So you have the rich men who will employ thugs in Lagos, who will snatch boxes, who will prevent Igbos from voting, and then they will now have the government. That's why they have the plutocracy. But the plutocrats will still be ruling, and the oligarch will still be their foot soldiers.
You know, you've always talked about how savvy the Fulani man is.
Yes,
politics.
oh yes.
But you also have savvy politicians in the south.
They never had power.
They are beginning to have power.
Oh yes, now.
So they've learned.
The power they have is still a few of them. That I mean, you can count those who have power on your fingertips. The fact that you have governors, I'm sure you're not referring to having APC governors who are Southerners or PDP governors or Southerners.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to. Is that not political power?
When you are a governor and you cannot give order to your chief security officer, you cannot command a commissioner of police in your state. You are a governor, you cannot pay your judges. You know, judges are being paid in Abuja. You know now that the salary of NTA staff, Nigerian Television Authority staff, all over Nigeria, their salaries are being paid straight from Abuja. You are a director of NTA in Enugu or NTA in Abeokuta. You cannot pay this. You cannot pay the salary of your staff from your office. Which one do they have? That they have to go to Abuja every month to collect dues to pay their salaries. So when we say some of them have power, you have some who have occupied position of power, but they are still just in office. It's only a few of them that are now trying to assert themselves to return, because now they've been pushed to that level by their people. Look at the case of Amotekun now. God save the soul of any Yoruba governor that will publicly go to the street and say, I don't support Amotekun. He knows that his parents will be killed. He knows. No Yoruba governor will publicly say, I don't support Amotekun.
Now, before we round off, there is the Fulani question.
Yes.
There is the Igbo question.
Yes.
And there is the Yoruba
question. Yes.
We have been discussing the Fulani question.
Yes, sir.
If we don't resolve this question, we will go our ways, right?
Yes, certainly.
But we can answer this question and build a one Nigeria that you don't want.
It is possible. Nothing is impossible. But it is difficult. Difficult in the sense is that by character, by pedigree, by culture, by level of civilization, we have one leg amongst these legs that believes in domination, that believes that others are inferior, they are infidels, and their own concept of their own religion tells them that these infidels have no right to live, to exist.
Their belief can be changed if they are engaged. Hitler had that belief.
Hitler was not, it wasn't a spiritual or faith. It's just a belief. We are not talking about faith. Faith is very emotional. Faith is very fundamental. Those who believe in God, it's very difficult to stop them from believing in God.
Despite this belief, we've been together since 1960.
I know. They had power, and the rest of the country allowed them to continue in the hope that it will change. But when you now had the great poverty in the north, you now had all these Amajiris, I have all these insurgents and all those, built up, that people now begin to say no.
So that might be the shock that will create the change.
It might. I'm not saying it is impossible. I only say it's difficult. It's possible that the 4 million or thereabout Fulani who are terrorizing the rest of the country, it is possible for them to have a change of heart. It is possible. There's nothing impossible. If that happens, it will be a great day. But I don't see it happening, and I don't see it coming. What I see coming is that, like a people who are deaf and dumb, they want to pull the pillars holding a building on themselves and collapse.
Mariama, she's not a fool. She merely knows how to play cool. When the eye sees Mariama, she feels so glad.
So folks, please try to like the video, subscribe to the video, share the video, make comments, and keep on sharing the video. With that said, the man we have now as our head of state summarizes everything he's going to do to Nigeria before he got in there. He stole the election. We let him keep what he stole from us. To conclude, here are the things he told us before he became the president who stole the mandate of Nigerians.
Categorically, he said he go come out subsidy.
Remove subsidy. Why should I have 4 cars and be paying subsidized petrol for Cameroon, for Niger, for Benin Republic? No matter how long you protest, we are going to remove subsidy. We reduce the purchasing power of the people. We can further slow down the economy. Let's widen the tax nets. Those who are not paying now, if it is inclusive of Bola Tinubu, let the nets get bigger and we take in more taxes, and that is what we must do in the country. We reduce the purchasing power of the people. We can further slow down the economy. Let's widen the tax nets. Those who are not paying now, if it is inclusive of Bola Tinubu, let the nets get bigger and we take in more taxes, and that is what we must do in the country.
Now, I hope you understand that that's the man who the same people that are oppressing the country have put in there as a stopgap between when he got in there and when they return to continue taking the country down to doom. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. Until next time, good night and God bless. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment.
Tonight I think of my home, the home where I was born. I think of my family and the poor farmhouse we had. There in my home, we had no sophistication. We had no timepiece, the cockcrow and the sun, all we had. Rise early at sunup, we'd go to the farms, drive the monkeys away from the maize farms, and the birds away from the rice farms. Come back home at sundown, sometimes a little later. Women get busy on pounding